Hi, welcome back to Focal Point AAFR Talk. I want to shift gears to the economy. We'll continue to take your phone calls, particularly on the subject of Afghanistan, Iraq, and what Robert Gates' memoir reveals about him, which I think it makes him look shabby. It makes him look like a coward. He had important information. I mean, if he's willing to write it in a book and make money off of it and go public with it, then he's certainly willing to talk about this stuff in public. And he could have done that prior to the 2012 election, did not do it. And now we could be paying a price for the fact that he was either cowardly or greedy. Either didn't have the courage to say it when it could have made a difference, or he didn't want to say it until he could make a maximum amount of money with it till the book was done. And at any rate, it makes Robert Gates look very shabby in my mind as well. And the picture it paints of President Obama virtually as a conscienceless commander-in-chief who disrespects the military, has no regard for the military, it really has no conscience in putting American lives at risk, is driven by raw, naked political ambition when it comes to political decisions, who involves his political advisors in military decisions, unheard of. Robert Gates said, never seen that before. So it paints a very unflattering picture, minimum, of President Obama. And speaking of Iraq, you've probably seen that al-Qaeda is back in charge of Fallujah. Now, Fallujah was a huge battle in 2004 for control of Iraq. That was probably the turning point of the military engagement in Iraq. We had Marines going, remember, that was the one where they hung the two guys from the bridge. Remember that? Hung their burned bodies, their charred bodies from the bridge. And we went in there 7 months later and cleaned that place out. We had Marines, 19-year-old Marines, going door to door, risking their lives every time they kicked the door down to take control of Fallujah. Now it's back in the hands of al-Qaeda. Again, it's like we were never there. Now let's grab some sound bites. I want to shift gears. 888-589-8840. Rob, let's grab clips 2, 3, and 4. This is President Obama talking yesterday about extending unemployment. And the analogy I want to give you is you listen to this. This is an analogy I've used before. I got it from my colleague Crane Durham. I don't know if it was original with him, but it's a beautiful analogy. I mean, it's very apt. When you extend unemployment benefits, and I'm talking about going beyond 26 weeks, because up to 26 weeks, the employer is paying a tax into an insurance fund. So money has been set aside for employment benefits up to 26 weeks. That's not welfare. That's been paid for. You go past 26 weeks, that's welfare, because there's no money for that. So you have to take it away from hardworking taxpayers. You got to take it away from businesses that may be barely hanging on. You got to take that money away from them to give it to people that are not working. And so it becomes welfare at that point. So again, up to 26 weeks, that's insurance. That's what your employer's paying into that kitty for. I don't think that's the way to do it. I think it'd be better if you're going to pay into it, then establish an account with your employee's name on it and put the money in his account. So it's his money. And when he gets to where he loses his job, then he's got that cushion that is connected to his labor and to his service for you, and then he can use it as he sees fit. Anyway, that's another day. Story for another day. But up to 26 weeks, it's not welfare. But after that, and it's been going up to 99 weeks, that's almost 2 full years, that's welfare. People are being paid to stay home and not to work. And all these welfare programs, whether it's the EBT cards that the governor of Maine is talking about being spent at tobacco shops, being spent at liquor stores, being spent at strip clubs. I mean, the fraud and the waste there is unbelievable. 106 people in New York now, first responders, some of them who responded on 9/11, been found guilty of trying to defraud the American taxpayer with regard to Social Security disability. 106 of them fleecing the taxpayers of millions of dollars in Social Security fraud. So it's all disability fraud. So these welfare programs, there's problems with every single one of them. The basic idea is flawed from the get-go. But, you know, Crane pointed out, and all these people talk about how these welfare programs stimulate the economy. Nancy Pelosi, every dollar in unemployment benefits, that generates $1.73 of economic activity. That is absolute hogwash. It's balderdash. It is bilge. It is swill. It is economic illiteracy to a staggering level, because the only place you can get money for unemployment benefits is out of the economy. That's the only place it comes from, unless you got Ben Bernanke down in the basement cranking it out on the printing machine, and then that makes everybody's money worth less. It hurts everybody. But the only place you can get money to give to the unemployed is out of the productive sectors of the economy. It's the only place you can get it, because the government doesn't generate any wealth. It produces no product. It doesn't produce any assets. It produces no wealth whatsoever. It just takes. Every dollar that's spent by government on a government salary or a government program, first of all, has to be taken from a hardworking, productive American citizen. Anyway, so what Crane said, look, if you think that a welfare program stimulates the economy, it's no different than thinking that you could go to the deep end of a swimming pool and you could scoop out some water from the deep end of the pool, and then you could run down the deck and you could drop that water in the shallow end of the pool and then brag about how you raised the level of the pool. You did absolutely no such thing. In fact, the reality is you probably lowered the level of the pool because you had water sloshing out of your saucepan or your cup or whatever it is as you're jogging down the deck to the shallow end of the pool. You're losing water as you go. So the net effect is to diminish, to lower the level of the pool. And it's exactly what happens with unemployment benefits. If you take money out of the deep end of the pool, out of the productive sectors of the economy, well, you got to pay somebody to process that money and to cut the checks and to handle the applications. That's the water that you're losing as you make your way along the deck of the pool to the shallow end of the pool. You're putting less in than you took out. So, I mean, you're harming the economy. That's just common sense. It's logic. It's economic rationality. So these people that believe otherwise are just off in cuckoo land. I mean, this is economic illiteracy to a staggering degree. And here's President Obama was talking about economic illiteracy on display. Here are 3 clips from his speech yesterday. Clip 1. Let's listen.
And we know there but the grace of God go I. So that's the values case for this. That's the moral case for this. But there's an economic case for it as well. Independent economists have shown that extending emergency unemployment insurance actually helps the economy.
Wrong.
Actually creates new jobs.
Wrong.
When folks like Catherine have a little more to spend to turn up the heat in her house or buy a few extra groceries, that means more spending with businesses in her local community, which in turn may inspire that business to hire one more person, maybe Kathy.
So he's simply dead wrong about this. Extending emergency unemployment insurance does not help the economy. That is flatly untrue. I'm not saying that President Obama is lying when he says that, because he probably doesn't know any better. He is so illiterate when it comes to how an economy operates. He probably thinks he probably actually believes it. But I explained to you with the swimming pool analogy, it hurts the economy, doesn't help it. It takes money out of the economy, takes money away from businesses, because that's where they get the money. They simply raise unemployment insurance taxes on businesses. So what does that mean? Now they have less money to create new jobs. They have less money to raise wages. They have less money to expand business. So it hurts workers. It results in fewer jobs in the economy. Here is clip number 2.
Now, I've heard the argument that says extending unemployment insurance will somehow hurt the unemployed because it saps their motivation to get a new job.
It does.
I really want to go at this for a second. That really sells the American people short. I meet a lot of people as President of the United States and as a candidate for President of the United States and as a U.S. Senator and as a state senator. I meet a lot of people. And I can't I can't name a time where I met an American who would rather have an unemployment check than the pride of having a job.
And so when you think about this, he's right about this. But if that's the case, if people would rather have a job than an unemployment check, then the compassionate thing to do, the smart thing to do, the right thing to do, the caring thing to do is to adopt policies that are going to increase the chances that these people can find a job. And when you extend unemployment benefits, you slow that process down. Here's a piece by Peter Morrissey on Newsmax, Extended Unemployment Benefits, a Hoax on the Working Poor. Reinstating emergency unemployment benefits, as President Obama urges, would slow growth and impose unconscionable burdens on the working poor. Unemployment benefits are financed by federal and state payroll taxes. Those taxes reduce the wages employers can pay low-income workers by a similar amount. In other words, that money's got to get siphoned off in taxes not available to go to the worker. So it lowers the income of low-income people. Indeed, some of the extended unemployment benefits paid during the recession were financed by a special federal levy that hit low-income workers hardest of all, making extended benefits a cruel hoax on the working poor. So his point is, look, this even hurts poor people that have jobs. People that are unemployed, it hurts them because there's less money available to create jobs that they could get in the first place because they're being siphoned off for unemployment benefits. And the tax comes out of the paychecks of low-income people that have a job. Unduly long employment benefits in an economy where the president says which the economy says is picking up steam, encourages many unemployed to postpone serious unemployment searches. From Wall Street to Main Street, white-collar professionals have delayed accepting lower pay or changing occupations by running down savings and collecting maximum unemployment benefits of about $300 a week. Most could easily earn multiples of that amount, even by accepting positions at a somewhat lower status than their old jobs. It takes a rather twisted view of social justice to raise taxes on the working poor to pay professionals not to work. So it makes it easier for people that could get jobs to stay home, and the poor are paying for it. Focal Point, AFR Talk.